Okay, so this is what we need to do. You can do the lighting. You can lay on the couch. I'll play the clarinet, and we should totally be opening up for Asking Alexandria. Hey, this is Party Like a Rockstar podcast, and I'm your host, Joel. Today's episode is brought to you by Misha's Kind Foods. They're an LA-based small business making the world's finest non-dairy cheese on the market today. They're lactose-free, paleo, keto, kosher, Parev, and 100% vegan. If you like what you see, check out the next video. If you like this video, please subscribe and like by clicking the little round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or our other guests on the show, go to joelroadie.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle is Joel Roadie. If you haven't already read my book, Memoir of a Roadie, it's now available through Amazon and paperback Kindle or as an audiobook. I hope you enjoy the show. Alex Mungal is a Canadian lighting designer and technical director. He's worked with Suicide Boys, Ice 9 Kills, and the Black Dahlia Murder. He's currently out with Asking Alexandria on the re-entry tour featuring A Day to Remember. Adam Cowan is an LD. He's worked for Hollywood Undead, In This Moment, Rusko, Sevendust, Sum 41, Breaking Benjamin, Kidz Bop, the Beatles, and is currently on tour with A Day to Remember. You're actually not the first Kidz Bop guest.
Hey, Kidz Bop's a good gig. It's not where, it's not rock and roll, but it's a good gig to be on.
I had Chris Musgrave on. I gave him a hard time about it, but he fucking loves Kidz Bop, man.
Hey, we love that paycheck. That's what we love.
Yeah, it's a good gig. He said it's honestly like laugh as much as you want. I don't give a shit. It's a fucking great gig.
Yeah, people are great. The shows are easy. The kids are wonderful. Light load work. We do Thursday through Sunday. Fly in and out. It's a perfect gig for a guy that's been on the road for quite a while. It's a good gig to kind of settle into and calm down a little bit.
There you go. How are you guys enjoying what you're doing now? You're on tour together, so it's cool.
Wonderful. Everything's been going well. I'm sure Alex can attest that we've had to jam quite a bit of stuff in some small rooms, but it's been working out.
Yeah.
I've been, loving working and sharing in front of house with Alex. It's always nice to meet a new lighting designer that I haven't toured with before, and we have a good time out in front of the house and get along really well. And that's the most important thing. When you're stuck with somebody out front for a long time, a couple of weeks, it's good to have a good relationship.
Yeah, especially with some of the shows, like he said, where we're having to cram in a lot of gear into a tiny space. And then I have to decide as the support band, what do I cut in order to make sure that everybody can actually do their show. And the goal is everybody does the biggest, baddest show that we can, right? But at the same time, when we're in a small room that we can't fly everything and hang everything and put everything in, it's good to be with a bunch of people that everybody's kind of got each other's backs and everybody wants to make the show happen, right?
Yeah. So you want to hear Adam's dating profile?
Let's hear it, and I'll elaborate.
There we go. Okay. Adam, both you guys did the same thing. I'm like, I need a bio. You guys sent me like dating profile. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. Adam sent me dating profile, but both you guys just wrote, I like long walks on the beach. I'm like, all right.
Hey, I'll take a long walk on the beach any day, brother, any day.
You know what? How could anybody complain about it? So here we go. So Adam is an artist. He enjoys painting and airbrushing. I was actually an art dealer and art history major, so I will not make fun of you at all.
All right.
And when he's not doing that, he's painting houses and working on sign shop painting signs, which actually I'm into. So I want to know about that. You live on a boat still?
When I'm on the road, I'm kind of bouncing around between Maryland, where my current home is, and South Carolina. I moved down there during the pandemic. I fell in love with that area of Charleston. Is amazing. Met a lot of new friends that I haven't met before. And when your life on the road has been cut and complete zero, you have to figure out a different way of life. And to me, the boat, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Being on the water every day.
So you have a storage, you keep your crap in the public storage basically, and then you have the boat?
Yeah, the public storage is called my parents' garage.
Nice.
No, it's great. I traveled around during the pandemic. I spent some time in Florida. I drove out to the West Coast of Oregon for a little bit. Just basically did a tour by myself that, a lot of the times when you're on a tour bus, you don't see anything but the inside of the bus. Yeah. You look out the window, you're like, oh, look at that. That's really cool. But, I spent a lot of time just going to those places. I went to a lot of parks in Utah. But yeah, I really don't think that I have a location that I would call where I live at. Home is Maryland for me, but I do like to spend time in South Carolina. But it's kind of, am I going to make that a permanent home base one day? Not sure. You know, I'm kind of tied to the North. I'm a Maryland guy through and through. Got the tattoo. Once you got a tattoo, you got to stay there. So
home is basically your parents' garage.
Exactly. And that's not a lot.
That must help the dating profile a lot.
I mean, you know, you got to really work your way around that before you take them back to the garage. But you know, it works sometimes.
Okay, and we won't go there. We won't go there. But with the sign painting stuff, so that I'm intrigued by. That's neat. So are you like doing the window, like the airbrushing on the windows, or are you like painting wood signs?
We're painting wood signs. When I got out of high school, I actually went to school as a graphic design. It's like a certificate program at a community college. I don't really want to spend all the money on going into debt, but the classes were reasonable. I learned everything you need to learn about digital art and everything like that you would learn from a major university. My best friend growing up, he started a sign shop. We started back in the day doing the vinyl stickers on vans and windows, business cards, stuff like that. But you know, as technology progressed and his business started growing, we started getting into the hand carved signs. We do a lot of those for local businesses. We do.
So you stay that busy?
You'd be surprised. I mean, when I'm not, you know, I'm bouncing around. Like I said, I was in Florida, I was in the West Coast, and he's like, man, can you fly home to help me out with this job? I got a big sign I need to paint. He's just busy all the time. He's kind of a one-man operation. His father just passed away, which was his main partner. So I did fly home to kind of get him out of the weeds a little bit. And I love doing that, man. There's nothing better than throwing some tunes on and just getting some paint ready and sitting in front of the sign to paint for a while. But it's pretty busy, and he keeps his normal clients, and they're, you know, with the different types of lettering and stuff. He has a lot of repeat clients that will come back for, you know, when they buy a new truck or something like that, or a boat or a new business we do the signs for. So it's actually pretty profitable.
Alex needs a sign. You want to say, fuck the sound guy. Can you make that happen?
He doesn't say that word. He's from Canada.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
I do plaster a Canadian flag all over front of house, though.
Good
My
for
lock
you.
screens
Maryland
are.
flag. We're all proud of where we're from. You know?
Yeah. Do people do bad shit to your front of house because there's Canadian flags all over it?
No. I mean, like Asking Alexandria, the band I'm with is from England, so I guess they appreciate the foreigners.
Yeah. Yeah, York, right? York, England.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did my research.
You did your
Hey,
research.
we didn't fact check the fact that I worked for the Beatles. So how much did you do the research?
I did not look that much. That's true. You got me. You got me.
Gotcha.
Suicide
As soon
Boy.
as you threw Kidz Bop in there, he just said, "Okay, sure, whatever he says."
Kidz Bop was like this big tangent. You know, I made this joke in one of these, and I wanted to go like, "Hate breed, Sevendust," you know, and all these heavy and Kidz Bop. But the truth is a lot of these resumes are that now, because you know all the guys are floating everywhere. So you guys included, there's a bit of difference in musical style here with your guys' resumes. You know, so. Now, I did look a little bit. Suicide Boys I'd never heard of before yesterday. Sorry, but are these dudes happy now? I'm kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, it's just a hip hop group, right? They're from New Orleans. It's a cool show. I mean, very theatrical, moving set pieces. They have a bunch of houses, like literally 16-foot tall houses on the stage that catch on fire and then collapse. It's pretty cool.
super cool.
Yeah.
So they're huge tours.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing actually. We've been doing our venues, and then like a day later or maybe 2 days later, Suicide Boys is behind us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good on them, man. That sounds really neat. So you have two houses that completely crumble on the stage?
Three 16-foot tall houses that are like working door and everything. And then in the middle of the show, the boys walk into one of the houses and there's smoke everywhere, and then the houses collapse, and then, you know, they're obviously not there anymore, and then it's kind of like a disappearing act. And then the stage hands, the local hands, get handed these firefighter costumes to actually make the changeover happen, to get all these pieces off the stage. So they come running on in the chaos, and there's lasers going off everywhere. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. But it's a whole thing. We involved the local crew to try to get them making the show look cohesive, and also keep, you know, these giant set pieces able to get off the stage in a timely manner.
So it's like a magic show with music?
Yeah,
Good.
that sounds about right.
Right on. And so how long have YouTube been out now? How long has your tour been?
We started end of September.
September. We did Day to Remember did Blue Ridge Rock Festival, which this is my first tour with them, and I was super pumped to be working with these guys. But the first show I did with them was at a headline slot at a festival in front of God knows how many people. They had been rehearsing a new set list. I didn't have a show file programmed. There was not much information given to anybody that was at the festival. And I was like, if I can make it through these festival dates that we did Incarceration with Mudvayne. We did Blue Ridge with Breaking Benjamin, who I was previously employed by. And it was just these big, massive festivals for my first show back. I was so nervous, and I don't really get nervous, but it was kind of nerve-wracking. But I figured if we made it through those festivals, then I would be able to survive this tour. And so we did about 2 weeks prior to our tour starting off. We did a week of programming and rehearsals in Orlando before the tour started. So I think I left probably around September 18th is when I started doing the rehearsals and stuff. So I'm starting to feel like we've been out here for more than a month, and it's starting to get to me a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's we were texting earlier saying like we're only at the halfway point right now, literally the halfway point, but it feels like we've been out here for months. I've been out about the same amount of time. We started beginning of September with rehearsals and prep, same festivals that A Day to Remember was on. We were there a day after on each. That was a bit of a system shock for me, though. I mean, coming from Canada where everything's locked down and everything. And then at the time I was working in film before I transitioned back here into rock and roll. But that was strict, everybody wear a mask, everybody's wearing 2 masks, face shields, goggles around actors, all that stuff, like everything. And then my first day back in America, it's like, oh no, here's 30,000 people without masks. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, welcome back. Pretty nerve-wracking seeing that.
Well, we get to see your beautiful face now. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen much of Alex's face. We have pretty strict rules on days that we're doing shows, and rightly so. We're all trying to stay out here. It's kind of a pain in the ass if you want the truth. But
yeah, but I'd rather keep my job.
Yeah, we all feel the same. It's masks everywhere. I mean, you wear a mask when you're sitting on the bus because you're wearing it all day long, and we're all, we have the rules that when we're with each other that we tour with, we don't have to wear masks and stuff like that on our own respective buses. But we'll be sitting there 2 hours after the show. We're all sitting there wearing masks, and we're like, oh shit. It's like remembering to take your radio off. You're like, oh, you can take your radio off now. The show's over. You can take your mask off. But it's a little bit, it's difficult sometimes. Luckily, I don't call any spots on this tour. I was calling spots at Blue Ridge with a mask on, and the stagehands vary from city to city, and it's hard to communicate with a mask on anyway, let alone speaking to a microphone to a spot op that doesn't know your show, and it's pretty difficult. So fortunately, we're not calling spots on this tour. But I don't mind the mask as much at the showtime. Last night it was cold as hell outside, so the mask was giving me a little extra warmth around the face area. So
I've had that a couple of times where I didn't mind it because of the warmth.
Yeah, actually, I don't ever wear shoes during my show. I'm a beach guy. I wear sandals all through the day, except for when I'm on stage, I throw some shoes on. But I actually had to put my shoes on last night, 2 songs towards the end because it was so freaking cold. Standing on concrete.
Did you notice a difference in the performance, Alex?
Sure. I mean, my tapping foot was a little bit padded, so I think I was off a half step.
Yeah, you're off.
All I noticed was a bunch of Americans complaining about the cold.
Yeah.
Like, come on, the Grateful Dead, man. Put on your shoes. So, do you guys? How'd you become LDs? I tried once. I was. It's actually the opening of my book is about me trying to be an LD, and boy, did I fuck it up. It was really amazing how bad you can fuck it up, and I did it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess I'll take this one first, Alex. I started when I've been doing this. I graduated high school in the year 2000, which is now 21 years ago, and I went to a concert when I was in 10th grade. My first concert I went to see was the Family Values tour with Limp Bizkit and Staind. And I'll never forget walking into that arena, and Staind was playing. Never been to an arena show, never been to a concert before in my life. And you can kind of hear the music pumping from the, the upper levels of the arena. We're getting our beers and our food and all that stuff and whatever. And I walked in, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like the music hits you, the sound hits you, the lights, they didn't have a massive, lighting show. They were,
So what year is that? That's like 2002?
I think the Family Values tour that I saw was 1996 or 7.
Okay.
It was Crystal Method, Limp Bizkit, and Stained. And I believe they bounced back and forth with Korn and a bunch of different things. Limp Bizkit had the big toilet bowl on the stage. That's the tour that was.
I was really hoping I wasn't working the show that you're reminiscing on, because I would have felt really bold.
It would have been in Philly. It was in Philly. I remember going there, but when I saw that, I was like, damn, this is really cool. And I didn't have this like light, over my head epiphany that I was like, oh, I got to do this. But I was like, damn, this is pretty wild. I started going to a lot more concerts after that. And then I started getting into music a lot more after that. I started
What were you doing in high school? Where were you working?
I was working in high school. I worked at a pet store.
Oh.
I just got my license when I was 16. I was getting like the most bottom of the barrel job, and it was great. I loved working with the animals and stuff, but I did do a lot of my friends were in bands, and we hung out in a lot of barns and garages with cover bands playing songs and stuff. And I started working for a band, basically meeting them at the bars they were playing at. They would pay me $10 per member to meet them in the parking lot, set their gear up inside, $10 to take it down. So I was 16, 17 years old, making $150, $200 a night. I was like, damn, I am rich right now. Fuck this pet store. I'm going to do this. And then afterwards, I graduated high school and I kind of went by the wayside. I went to the graphic design school and everything. And I saw a cover band. Philly's really big for their cover bands. Mm-hmm. And I went to a bar one night and I saw this cover band, and the singer was amazing. She was a beautiful woman. I was just totally enamored by how amazing she was. And I ended up working for those guys first, doing lighting and cover band.
Is that Alex's mom? Is that her older sister? Older sister?
Alex, you got an older sister? Come on, don't hold out.
I don't have an older sister, just a mom.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I started doing that, and it kind of progressed, and I started working for production companies. Obviously, you're not the greatest lighting guy when you start, and 20 years ago, technology was a hell of a lot different than it is today. And even the simplest task that Alice can attest to, like, how do you do this on the console? How do you do this? Or how do you do that? I'm not the most. I've been working on tour for many, many years. I've been a Grand MA guy for 5 years. I don't know everything about that console, and I don't think anybody really does. And the simplest tasks, you're like, oh shit, like that's so easy. And I'm like, Alex, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? And it's like, just hit this button twice and it does that. So, it doesn't matter how many years you're on the road.
Or there was walking into that Parcan rig yesterday.
Oh yeah.
That tree off. That was a big
that definitely threw me off, and I was like thinking, if I didn't have my own lighting package flown, I would have rather had a full Parcan rig and the tiniest little lighting console and just use the timing that I've created. I have pretty good timing over the years, but when you're trying to clone in a Parcan rig to a digital world, it's like analog and digital meets whatever. And I'm not going to say how I pulled it off, but it worked out good.
Nice. Professionalism.
That's right.
Yeah. What about you, Alex? What were you doing in high school?
In high school, I was a musical theater geek. Oh. I loved theater from the very first show that I saw when I was a kid. I saw Phantom of the Opera. And that was in Toronto with my parents. They took me to see Phantom and Les Mis, and I fell in love with theater.
I used to be able to play Phantom of the Opera on my clarinet in junior high school.
Nice. I have pictures
right?
from old family photo albums of me reenacting scenes from Les Mis, just pushing the couches together and lying there dead for hours.
Okay, so this is what we need to do. You can do the lighting. You can lay on the couch. I'll play the clarinet, and we should totally be opening up for Asking Alexandria.
There you go. All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Ooh, we'll make extra money. That'd be fucking amazing.
So I did a lot of theater in my early days. When I wasn't in school, I was doing just local theater stuff, small theater stuff. And then I kind of moved just into production jobs. I started actually with sound before I did lights. So I did a lot of sound for even like resorts and hotels and stuff, just small corporate style things.
We all make mistakes. It's okay.
I know. I know.
The
I
Canadian
grew up
thing
eventually.
took a little longer to get going.
Yeah, it's the cold. It just slows us down, right? But yeah, I went from sound, eventually got bored of that, realized, sound isn't as fun as I didn't think that sound was fun. I was just like, this isn't fun. This isn't fun.
And you went into
like this.
lighting.
Well, see, I was a drummer. I was also a drummer, and I thought, you know what? I want to tour. I want to play rock shows and stuff. But one, being Canadian, two, being a drummer from Canada, there's no money. I'm basically paying to play, so I wasn't making anything, maybe $5 a day. So it wasn't worth it at that point. And I was doing some audio for bands as well on the road, and then kind of drifted into, okay, well, I could do lights because that's basically drumming.
Isn't Neil Peart a Canadian drummer?
He is.
Okay.
one of the lucky few.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, it was just like, I wanted to do my art of, percussive stuff, but I couldn't do that as an artist. So I kind of moved into lighting because I had a bit of that tech background, and then kind of developed my style because of my theater stuff. I took a lot of that with rock and roll, kind of mixed the two together, kept going with theater. And then a few years ago, probably 5-6 years ago, I kind of made a return back into rock and roll, bringing every bit of theater that I could.
Oh, so I mean, you're an artist. You think so for sure.
Yeah, it's neat. I mean, I'll say our show, even on this tour, is very theatrical. It's not so much, I know A Day to Remember is very flashy rock and roll. It's a great show that they put on, and then our show is a very different flavor of the night. So it's cool to have those two different contrasts on the same tour, to have our kind of more theatrical vibe and then get into this like crazy awesome rock show with a lot of strobe lights.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I got a couple pairs of shades in my front of house bag. It's a pretty strobe heavy show, but I think, with, like you said, Alex, with the theatrics of Asking Alexandria, and I've always wondered how promoters build these acts together. And I think that Asking has their certain fan base. They're bringing more tickets in because we're bringing such a diverse show. We're not just saying like this is a huge rock show with the same similar bands. And I think it's kind of scientific thing that I don't know anything about because I'm not a promoter, but I've toured with some bands that are like, what in the hell are these guys on this bill with us for? But they bring in their amount of crowd base and maybe 1,000 extra tickets per night because of this band per se on the tour.
So what's the oddest? What was the oddest bill you had?
I can't speak for what the oddest bill that I had was, but I will say I did a long amount of tours with Five Finger Death Punch and Breaking Benjamin together, and we did a co-headline tour where we flip-flopped every single night. And it depended on, I don't know how they did who was going to headline the evening, but every single day, it was either Breaking Benjamin headlining or Five Finger. Like I said, I don't know how they chose which one, but the fans from Breaking Benjamin would be so pissed off if Five Finger was headlining, and the fans from Five Finger Death Punch would be so pissed off at Breaking Benjamin. They're like, what the fuck is this band playing for? And like I said, I don't know, but it's really odd because they do draw two totally different types of people. And
yeah, the Blue Man Group, and they opened up for, I think it was Slipknot, Godsmack, Stone Temple Pilots, and then Rage Against the Machine. And it was like, who the fuck put the Blue Man Group before Godsmack? I mean, what the? These dudes got hurt. It was bad. They were
Blue Man Group is an amazing group to see if you've never seen them live. I lived in Chicago for a period of time, and they have their theater in Chicago, and I'm telling you, it's a really amazing show. But Slipknot and Godsmack doesn't really fit the bill.
I can't remember if Slipknot was on the bill or not, but it was like a lot of testosterone, and I felt bad for the guys. There was no way they could do their art. I mean, they actually finished the show. They went through their whole gig, and I mean, they got pelted with more shit than I've ever seen from anybody else. It was nuts.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then I did a Poison show, I was doing a Poison run, and we did a show with the Turtles. And that was so cool. I was so glad to see somebody who didn't have long hair. Actually does. He has like a flowing Eddie. I don't know, maybe, but just something fucking different, So I was like, oh, Vince Neil might show up. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
Hey,
I want
we were in
I
Vegas
want
the
a
other
different
day.
decade. What?
I don't know if you had heard this, Alex, but when we were in Vegas the other day, there was a special table reserved for a special person that was right next to stage right in front of house. And I was like, who's going to be there? And they're like, Billy Idol has a table reserved right next
Yeah,
to
that was right beside my console. Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I hope Billy Idol's here. I'm not a huge Billy Idol fan, but that is a rock star. That's a really cool dude. And like, you can't knock him for anything he's ever done. And I was like, dang, just to be next to Billy Idol and rocking out with Billy Idol next to you, I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't see him. I don't know if he showed
No,
up.
there was some photographer that was in that booth, but that was right next to my console, and I kept looking over all night.
Yeah. I mean, most of my show, I'm dodging beach balls and toilet paper rolls and shit like that.
It's true.
Alex usually comes out around that time to catch toilet paper rolls. They remember has a couple of gags where they throw these gigantic beach balls out in the crowd, and there's like 20 of them, and those things probably weigh 5 pounds a piece when they're coming with you at force. It's enough to change your console to another song, or to flatten your screen down, or just to bust your neck back if you're not paying attention. I've seen people get hit directly, and I kind of laugh a little bit. If you're sitting there watching somebody get hit directly in the forehead with a roll of toilet paper, it's unexpected. It's kind of funny. It's kind of comical.
So now everyone's going to bring rolls of toilet paper to every show you do.
Oh, you don't have to. They provide them.
Oh, no way. Really?
Yeah, they have advanced, like, I think there's 30 plus rolls. So every day when we show up, there's a box of beach balls that the stagehands blow up with the air compressor. And there's like a case of toilet paper. And like, God forbid, you remember at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody
I was just going to say, is this your guys' fault that we got no toilet paper?
It's gotta be. I don't know. I mean,
fucking
it's
rock stars.
Kind of funny. Rock stars do whatever they want, and it's fine. I stuff a couple rolls of toilet paper in my front of house work box just in case we ever go back to that situation.
I hung out with Billy Idol. You guys really missed out. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I'm 40 years old. I remember the Billy Idol days, and I had a couple friends that were working. Back in the day, they used to go and sign up people for credit cards at these big concerts and stuff like that, like a Bank of America or something. And Billy Idol was always the guy. And I remember all these girls I used to date had pictures of Billy Idol, and they're like, he's such a nice guy, he's such a cool rock star. It's like, I want to meet Billy Idol one day. And I thought Vegas was going to be my opportunity. It didn't happen. So
it was like 2 girls that he dated, by the way.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Fuck.
You know what you should do with Billy Idol? He did interviews on Dave Letterman like in 1980, whatever, and they're fucking great because he's such a little asshole. he's so good. And David Letterman, I think, is like the best interviewer ever. And he's so amazing. And so those two together, you'll laugh, you'll smile. It's just great. It's just great because he's the shit, man. It's fucking Billy Idol. So
I definitely do some YouTube research on days off. So if that's on YouTube, I'll definitely be looking at that later.
It is on YouTube. The other one I really like, and I actually just put it on the webpage, was a Johnny Rotten interview that you should watch. It's like 15 minutes, and it's just he's so drunk and he's such a fucking prick. He's up there with Rollins and Duff and some other guys, and he's just an asshole, and it's just brilliant.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, tangent. Not to say that Billy, but as soon as you talk about Billy Idol, I go straight to assholes. But
is he an asshole though? I feel like he's got to be a nice guy. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
he is a nice guy.
Spiky.
I think he went through a young time where he was like, he thought it was the shit. And I'm totally talking out of turn. I don't know, but I think he thought it was shit. And then he got into a really bad motorcycle accident. I think that kind of switched things up. He got a little more humble after facing death, Yeah. So, and I think he might have had a heart attack, but I'm not sure. But he's fucking rock and roll, man. He's great.
Like those guys back in the day, when I see people like Billy Idol and even all the Motley Crue guys and all those guys still alive, I feel like Alex and I are doing a very much mild version of the touring that these people did back in the day. Because Jesus Christ, I feel I haven't even really drank that much on this tour. I'm finding comfort in just going on the bus. And I like to party. Don't get me wrong. I love to do it. And I've spent my years doing it, but I was like, damn, this could be a really good opportunity for me working with a new band to kind of not be the drunkest guy on the bus all the time, or to be everything that I used to be back in the day. I was like, I can impress a whole new group of people by not getting shit-faced every night. So, I sit back and often wonder, how do those people make it through the 80s and the early 90s when they were just doing drugs all the time and doing 6 to 10 shows in a row and in different continents and all that stuff.
It's called cocaine. La Coca. Yeah, I don't know. I'm in bed at like all my friends laugh. It's like 8:30 at night. I'll be like, is it too late for you to go out? You're fucking right, it is.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's sleepy time, dude. What do you want?
I was excited last night. I thought we were gonna have an early curfew because we were outdoors. I was like, so we're gonna be done at 10 o'clock tonight, right? Kidz Bop shows ended at like 8:30. It was amazing. Let me get back to Kidz Bop, how amazing that is. You know, we're talking about you can't keep these kids up past their bedtime. Their bedtime's what, 8:45? We had 2 trucks that we loaded. They would be done at 9:30, and we were sitting on the bus drinking beers and chatting by 10:15. I was like, damn, we're usually done with the show at 11:15, loading 10 trucks, and we're in bed by 3 o'clock in the morning, and then walking chalk at 6 a.m. the next day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, much props to Kidz Bop again.
See, I used to do way back. I used to do musical theater for kids. So we had like a show that would travel to all these cities. It was a tour, but people would come out as schools during the day. So we had, you know, these big ass theaters rented out that we would put our show on, load in at 5 a.m, build our rig, have everything up and running, and then we'd have 2 shows in a day, be packed up and on the road by 4 o'clock. And I was home because this was all Ontario and Quebec. So I was able to go to the show, drive the truck back to my house, then drive the following day back to the next show and stuff. And we would do that every day. And I was home, you know, 9 o'clock at night. It was great.
Yeah.
Great. When all my friends are like texting me saying like, oh yeah, man, we're going on in 15 minutes. Like, oh, I just got home. See ya. Good night.
You miss theater?
I do and I don't. I will always love theater and I appreciate good theater. But being able to do stuff with bands like Asking that give me the ability to pull all my theater tricks out and use these techniques and stuff, it makes me not miss it because I'm still able to immerse everybody in theater while still doing a rock and roll show. Like, don't get me wrong, we still have strobe lights, we still, you know, make stuff flashy, but just some of the moments that I'm able to really capture and highlight. Ooh, that's a theater moment. Let me throw this in here. Let me light them only from the side. Let me try this. Let me try this technique.
We got to make him like business cards to hand out that say like Les Miserables, and he just hands them out to the audience in the middle of the show. Don't forget.
Back in the day, you know, this is like with the COVID protocols, and you know, we're not really allowed to have many guests on our tour because of COVID and stuff like that. And you know, I'm sure Alex can, you know, say this. You know, we want to have friends. We have friends all over the United States. We want them to be there with us at front of house. They, you know, want to see what we're doing and how we're traveling and what a lighting guy does. And, you know, like, we see you on Facebook doing all this stuff all the time. Like, what do you actually do? And then they get to stand next to you and you're like, wow, you're doing a lot more shit than what we actually think, you know? But it's been kind of difficult, but you know, I remember back in some of my older band days, you know, I would get a couple guest passes in front of house and kind of walk around the crowd, and you could hand out a couple guest passes to girls, if you may say that, or whatever, or friends. And they would get to sit there and watch you and then go hang out backstage and drink with you afterwards and whatnot. But it's not like that this tour. And it's kind of like, I like seeing Alex come to the show. I'm like, oh, there's a buddy sitting next to me right now. It feels nice to have someone next to you because you feel so isolated when you're just standing there by yourself.
I mean, obviously what it is you know, you're stuck working a lot of hours. And then what's the fun part? To go drink a beer and go to sleep. So it's like, what part of this day was for me? Like, I didn't get anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, you know, I've never worked with our front of house guy. His name's Nate Northway. He's a really nice guy. He's amazing. He does Rise Against. He does a lot of big bands. And just spending time with him
on here. He was telling me what an asshole you were, to be honest.
Bullshit. He loves it.
No, I didn't.
No, it's nice, but it's like, you know, like you said, the lighting has their own side. The audio has their own side, and it's just nice to have somebody kind of sitting there with you because you feel like you're by yourself, and you know, you lock eyes with the artist on stage, and you're like, it just feels weird, you know, like it feels like you should be doing something. You should be partying. You should.
I think it is when you got somebody who's just not in the industry, or even maybe if they tap you on the shoulder, like, that was fucking badass, and you're like, I know it was, wasn't it? You feel good.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just nice.
Yeah,
Like,
and then we get the opposite side when you get somebody that in the audience that's like, "Hey, can you turn up the guitars a little bit? I can't hear the guitar mix." And I go,
You do. This is a perfect moment for one of the wood signs. Les Miserables. Les Miserables.
Yeah, I think every lighting guy in the industry has got, I can't hear the singer. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'll fix that real quick. And it doesn't matter what you do. Even yesterday when I was on stage focusing a Parcan rig, I know very well that guy did not move those lights. And I was like, yep, looks good. I was like, just down a little bit. And he didn't touch those lights. I was like, yeah, it looks great. You know, so
"Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
you were looking up at him. I was up on the hill watching everything, and it's like that didn't move."
I know. Well, I mean, I have a stiff neck. I'm an old man, dude. My pillow sucks on the bus. So I did towards the last 30, I was just like, yep. Next. But it was all right.
Right on. All right. So I was going to put together a podcast, and my buddy's daughter is in 5th grade. She had her little girlfriends over, and collectively they came up with a question to ask every guest. And the question is, when did you first feel famous? So bear in mind, we have a little kid here, but we could broaden it, or we don't have to. You could say when you first felt famous, or it could be when you felt you were on the right path. There was a moment in your career that was exciting. There was an event worth talking about that set you on your way. What would you guys each choose?
Go ahead and take this one first, Alex.
Well, see, it wasn't necessarily because I mean, being the lighting guy or even any crew member, you probably don't feel famous, but I think the connections that you're able to make sometimes, where you're able to post something on Facebook or Instagram, say, "Oh, I'm in this city," and then you have friends that are also in that city that have these crazy big shows and stuff, and you get to go see them, or being able to take a friend to a concert at home and be like, "Hey, let's go see this show." For me specifically, there's a moment that my wife had never seen Marilyn Manson. She loves Marilyn Manson. We both love Marilyn Manson, and I guess last tour that Manson and Zombie did together, Twins of Evil. I had a lot of connections on that tour, friends on that tour, and I had started that tour as well. I was on the tour at the beginning of it, and then I went home. And so when that tour finally came through Canada, I was able to say, "Hey, let's go see this show." And she got the whole experience, going backstage, having catering, hanging out with Manson, being a personal guest on that bill is pretty cool. And then, her hanging side stage with Paul, their guitar player and stuff. It was a cool experience to be able to say, this was all free.
Yeah.
We didn't win a contest or anything. You got that experience, that opportunity because of our connection. So it's not necessarily fame.
Yeah.
But it's something that I just kind of really appreciate, is being able to support friends and hang out with friends that are parts of these big acts that I grew up listening to, or I enjoyed, or somebody enjoyed. And if I can't go, sometimes I have a friend that's like, "Oh, do you know this person? Yeah, I can get you in for that." That's the famous feel.
Yeah, that's good.
That definitely helps quite a bit. I would say the same thing, where, friends are always texting me like, "Hey, I'm in this city, do you know this band that's coming through?" And a lot of times I do. I've been on the road for quite a while. It's like, do you really want to go through all the hassle to hook up a friend? How close are they to you? It's not like, oh, a friend of a friend of a friend wants this ticket. Probably not going to touch that. But it does feel nice to be able to go hook your friends up to see free shows when they come in town, and that's kind of part of the perks of it. But I remember when not that I felt famous or anything, like you said, but I felt like I've done something with my life and in the career that I've chosen. I was with Breaking Benjamin. We were doing an outdoor show in Florida somewhere. It was a festival or a big outdoor stadium show or something. And we got a radio call to come to the production office. And we're all like, anytime you get an all crew radio call to come to the production office, you're like, "Oh shit, something's bad, really bad." And so we're all like sauntering into the production office. We're like, "What's going on? What do you think's happening?" And they're like, "Dark Before Dawn went gold today. We're going to need all of your names and addresses because we're sending you gold records." I was like, holy shit. Like, every single crew guy that has a gold record, I don't give a shit what you say. It's the most accomplished feeling, because that's something you can hang on your wall that all your friends can come in and see. Like, you think I haven't been doing shit my whole life? Like, this is what I've been doing and I got this, it's like, and not that we work it for it, the band works for that shit. It's like, but we do work our asses off, and that's kind of like a thank you to the crew for your hard work and stuff. But I look at that every day when I'm at home and I'm like, damn, whatever I've chosen to do with my life, I have this on my wall. And if I would choose something else after this point, I feel like I've done the due diligence in my career, that I've made it this far, and I can go work at a pet store again if I want to.
Yeah, hell yeah. I like it. I got a feeling on this tour you guys haven't done too much wind-ups or show antique type smart-ass stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, not really. The crew on the crew bus is pretty tight. I'm a new guy on the bus. Everyone has been together for almost 10 years. The Day to Remember crew has been, all the members have been close to 10 years.
Wow.
With each other. So when I came on the bus, I was like kind of timid. I've been touring with the same production manager for almost 7 years. His name's Mike Macree. One of my close personal friends. He does everything, and he's got me a lot of my gigs and stuff. So I was pretty intimidated walking onto a bus full of new people, and right away they just took me in, and I felt so comfortable and so welcomed, and it's cool. And we have our own antics on the bus and stuff like that. It's nothing crazy. We're not like a huge partying crew or anything like that, but we do have a good time.
Cool.
And I don't know if they're like, what the biggest antics I think so far is, like, Team Lighting has bought these Blondie boots, and I wear sandals only. These boots are like Australian made boots. I'm like, you gotta have these. Now the stage manager has them. Now our production manager has them. They're like $200 boots. I was like, I wear sandals all day long. I was like, I'm not gonna buy a $200 pair of boots that I can't put on my feet because I like sandals.
Yeah, but they are comfortable boots.
They are comfortable.
Like hiking boots, or they like Uggs?
I mean, they're like slip on. They're nice boots. I don't even know. Like, I don't even wear shoes hardly, so I don't even know what a nice boot is. But I feel like now that I'm getting pressured, they're like, you can't be part of this crew anymore unless you have your Blondies. But it's that's probably the most antique thing that I've seen so far.
Do you guys have any good wind-ups from previous tours, or like last show, crazy shit?
Well, I can, I'll go back to the first band I ever toured with back in 2011-ish, was Hollywood Undead, and I love those guys so much. I was talking to one of the guys earlier. I love those guys so much. They got fame from way back in the day, and in the MySpace days, and this is a long time ago. And I was so just like stoked to work for those guys. And when I did, they involved the band, and the crew was involved in everything. I mean, we did not do anything without each other. Pre-show, we would go to dinner, we would go get drunk as shit before the shows. I mean, like, we did everything together. It was a very small crew. It was a very small band. It was band and crew on the bus. They're a guitar tech, and I'm sure that some people, if I watch this, probably know a guy named King Don. He's worked for Poison. He's worked for all these different bands and stuff. He ended up being my roommate, and I was, this is my first tour ever. I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what touring is about. What is this all about? And is this getting drunk every night a thing, or partying? And I mean, we went pretty hardcore. We had a really good time. But King Don was my roommate. He's the kind of guy that as soon as the bus stops at the hotel at 10 a.m., he's popping beers. I mean, he's drinking shots of vodka. He's doing all these things, to the point where he would basically pass out by about 2:30 in the afternoon in our room together, where we have shared rooms at this tour. And I'm at this point, I think I was maybe 30 years old, or 28 or 27. And I was having a good time. I was doing a fair amount of partying myself, but this guy was just taking it to a whole new level. I was like, holy shit, this guy's been on the road for 25 years, and he's just every day getting hammered drunk. And I was like, is this how I'm going to be in 25 years if I stick with this? And I've tried my best not to become that person, but I remember very distinctly, he would get so drunk, he would pass out by 2:30 in the afternoon. And, lighting guys, we don't have the craziest hard job, but it's like we wake up first. We're dumping our truck first. We're getting all the stuff in. So I try to go to bed at a reasonable hour. Well, King Don would wake up, sober-ish around 2 a.m. and it's time to party again. We're in the same hotel room. He's popping bottles again and popping beer caps off. And he loved to play the TV at an extremely loud volume. Every light had to be on in the hotel room. So during the day when he would pass out, he would wake up around 10 o'clock. I would go through and I would unscrew all the light bulbs in all the hotel rooms, and I would take the batteries out of the remote of the TV, so that when he would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, he's scratching his head. He's like, oh, shit. He's calling front desk. He's like, I think the power is off in the room. I can't get any lights on. The TV's broken, all this shit. So he would walk down to the front desk, and they're like, sir, I don't think anything's wrong. as I'd hear him walk out to the front desk, I'd get up, I'd screw all the light bulbs back in, I'd put the batteries back in the remote, and he'd come in and all the lights are on. And he's just sitting there, kind of drunk and hungover, scratching his head and stuff.
How many times did you do it?
I mean, damn, we did European tours. We did Russia for 3 weeks. I mean, we did.
You think it was a coincidence that it was your first tour and you got stuck in the room with him?
Well, he was. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was coincidence, but we came really close because he taught me, I'd never been on a tour before. He's like, if you stick with me, I'll teach you the right things and the wrong things to do. He's like, there's a time and a place to do everything. And I was fortunate to room with a guy like that because as a young guy, never been on the road. It's intimidating. You're around a bunch of famous rock stars you've never seen before. I remember when I walked into the rehearsal space and I saw Hollywood Undead for the first time, I was like, holy shit. It's the first time I've been in the presence of a famous person. And now I have to talk to him. Now I have to impress him. Now I have to like keep my job and stuff. And, you go to all these. I remember my first festival was Earth Day Birthday in Orlando, Florida. We're sitting in catering and Offspring was playing. Stone Sour was playing. I'm walking next to Corey Taylor, who is one of my favorite rock stars of all time. I'm like, holy shit, how do you keep yourself not a fan when you're like never experienced this before? And I've done a good job of it. I've never actually had my picture taken with a famous rock star, even though there's plenty of times. And I think you get more credit for doing that. But I've been starstruck plenty of times, doing these big festivals and stuff.
Still, it's okay. Fuck it. It's part of the fun.
It is.
It's all right.
There was one time when I really regretted in my entire life. We did, it was Carolina Rebellion, and it was a rain delay, and there was a big MMA fight, and they, the festival had rented this MMA fight, and it was in rain delay. So I'm sitting next to Scott Weiland, sitting next to, I think Marilyn Manson was there. The whole Papa Roach camp was there. And I love Scott Weiland more than anything in the world. And I was like, man, sitting right next to him, I was like, could I just talk to him and say like, hey, I love your music. I'm so thankful that I got to hear Stone Temple Pilots. Can I have a picture? I passed out on the opportunity, and then he died like 2 weeks later. So kind of a bummer. And maybe next time I'll take those opportunities. If I see Corey Taylor, which I have met him before, he's such a nice guy, such a laid back guy. Maybe I'll ask him for a picture or something like that.
Yeah, it's not that. Scott was all right. Scott would have been cool with it. Yeah. It's a bit of fun. I was going to do an interview. I was born in Cambridge, England. And I was like, do you guys want to give me any press? I think it was press for my book. And I said, they're like, well, how many pictures do you have with you in the bands? Well, I mean, not a fucking lot. I'm working. I'm making all these excuses. I'm like, why are you calling me? Why are you calling me out?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I have one with STP, and we're all dressed in drag for Halloween. And they never wrote back. Yeah. I like to hear that. I don't know. I loved STP too. So
I do too, man. That's such a great band. And I remember, and actually the day that I did meet Corey Taylor, we were at another festival, and just by passing, I was with another guy, Johnny Chow, who plays for Stone Sour, plays bass, and he plays bass in Calvary Conspiracy. We ran into each other, and he was with Corey. I was like, oh, this is my perfect opportunity to talk to Corey and to say what's up and all this stuff. And he's like, oh, how's Sum 41 doing and all this stuff. And I was with Sum 41 at the time. And he's like, so what's it like to tour with Sum 41? Me and Corey Taylor having this conversation. He's like, I was like, that's cool. It's a good time. And then STP with the new singer was playing that day at the festival. And I remember standing on the stage with Corey Taylor, like watching STP, and we're looking at each other like, new guy's not bad. He's not terrible, but
cool. Yeah. That's good stuff. You got any fun shit, Alex? You Canadians go crazy.
I'm not too much fun. I don't drink or anything, so I don't have any of those stories. I will say one of the bands I worked with a couple years ago, Ice Nine Kills. They're like a horror metal band. Everything's horror. Mm-hmm. I thought going into it, because so many bands have kind of an act that they do on stage where they portray themselves in this way, and then they come off stage and everything changes, and they're just the nicest people, and then they go back on stage and they're assholes, then they come off stage, they're the nicest people again. These guys, they do the horror thing, so everything is spooky, terrifying, blood, guts, gore, all that stuff. They have theatrics where they have actors on stage and there's murder scenes that they reenact from movies. It's all a bunch of crazy stuff. Their singer, off stage, all he does on the bus all day, because he won't leave the bus. He'll just put on, in the front lounge, he'll put on one movie, in the back lounge, he'll put on another movie, but gory slasher movies. And then he'll just walk back and forth on the bus all day watching these horror movies.
Does he have his own bus?
No. Everybody has to watch it.
All right. Okay.
And so he it's always horror movies. And then so at the end of the night, he puts on more horror movies for everybody to watch. And it's okay. This is a lot. This is a lot for me. It took probably 3 weeks in that tour for him to find out that I am terrified of horror movies. At the time I was. And he made it his life's goal to condition me to horror movies. And, I used to be the running joke for my friends. It was like, oh, you know what? Let's take Alex to see this horror movie. Because I would be that guy in the theater that would scream.
Okay.
The guy that you leave the horror movie and you're laughing because that one guy in the back that was terrified and like probably peed his pants, that was me. So being on this bus, watching these horror movies and then reenacting them live and having to design a show around them. He's like, oh, so you've seen all 20 Halloween movies or whatever. Yeah, sure. Oh yeah. Guy with a mask kills people. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. He's like, oh, great. And then the show would happen. And I watched just enough of the movies to be like, okay, yeah, this will work. And then for him to eventually 3 weeks into the tour find out I haven't seen a single one of these movies. I'm terrified of them and I won't watch them. And then the punishment came of having to watch, and I swear if he could have, he would have put toothpicks in my eyes and kept them open. But he made me watch every horror movie on the planet at least once. And now I'm conditioned. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm now psychotic.
I don't like to be scared either. I like to be. I'm a very good time vibey person. I don't like to be scared. Nobody likes.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't. It's not so much the death and the gore and stuff. It's like the jump scares get me, and then it's the crazy people that think that the jump scares aren't scary. Oh, that didn't get me. That got you. Yeah.
My problem with a horror film is I feel like I just wasted an hour and a half where I could be doing something else because this is crap. This is total garbage. Yeah. And then I found for a while I was watching these like serial killer TV shows that are like real shit, Yeah. And I'm realizing how lame am I that I'm watching this for the fun of it, of this horrible shit that happened. I'm like, this is a terrible way to go to sleep. So, but I had.
I like bad movies though, like the Sharknado series. Best movies.
I want to see it. I honestly haven't, but I mean, come on, or Snakes on a Plane. I've never seen that either. So,
Sharknado, absolutely Sharknado.
Right on, man. Well, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you for it, and I'll think of you next time I'm in Canada, my friend.
Yeah, hit me up if you're in Charleston. We'll have some beers on the boat.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe by clicking the round button on the bottom right. To learn more about me or the guests on the show, go to joelroadie.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. The handle's Joel Roadie. And don't forget, when you party like a rock star, don't be a dick.